Hi, I know I said I was going to try to get off YouTube. Unfortunately, this is an update video on my last video because I wanted to talk to you about if you're so worried about this 30-day lockdown, if you're worried about your lights and power going out or your water going off, we're going to cover that area today. So, if you think that you're going to be in a situation where you are in a 30-day lockdown, then I'm going to talk to you and get you and help you get prepared for what's coming. Now, I do remember, along with most of you, the great toilet paper fiasco of 2020. So yes, toilet paper is going to be on this list. But I'm going to show you a couple things that you may actually be surprised about with cost-wise. You're going to need food, you're going to need water, and yes, I am trying to get off of YouTube. Unfortunately, since my last video, I've had 2 subscribers since that video, which means people are really interested in this topic and they may find themselves in a situation like that. So, lockdown, 30 days, stores are closed, you have to stay in your home, or they're going to throw you in jail. Apparently, that's where we're heading, and I really want to make this clear that what I'm telling you, everything I'm showing you does not need refrigeration. Unfortunately, there are some things that really do need to be refrigerated, such as hot dogs and butter. You know, butter can actually stay out for a little bit, but not forever. Milk has to be refrigerated. So I'm going to give you some examples of what you can purchase now to survive a 30-day lockdown. Now, before I get into this, I want to talk to you about water. Water is very important. Also, going to the restroom is very important. We're going to talk about that too. Water. Now, if you can see behind me, right there, is a $15 6-gallon water container. That was $15 on sale at the clearance aisle in my Walmart. 15 bucks. Think about that for 6 gallons of water. The alternative is, let me get out of the way here, a food grade 5-gallon bucket. Now, it has to be food grade. Before you use this bucket for storing water, clean the bucket with a little bit of bleach water, rinse it out, and then store your water. Now, what is the price difference between these two items? The 5-gallon bucket with the lid was about $5 because the lid is sold separately. So, for basically 15 bucks, we could get 6 gallons of water out of the Igloo here, the blue one, or we could get 3 5-gallon buckets to store water in for that exact same $15. That's 15 gallons of water or 6 gallons of water max in the blue water container. Now remember, this lockdown is only supposed to be going on for 30 days. But if it extends longer, you need more things like food, water, things like that. Okay, we got our water covered here. Let me get out of the way. With the 5-gallon buckets. These are food grade. Make sure they're food grade 5-gallon buckets. They're food safe, food and liquid safe. Right there's your water supply. You spend $20. You get 4 buckets. That's a lot of water, right? So, you know, that's 5 gallons in each bucket. And you can stack them on top of each other. So you can have these things six tall and, you know, going as wide across as you have room for. The blue ones, unfortunately, cannot stack on top of each other. So wherever you put that, that's taking up that entire room on your floor or on your cabinet, whatever. They're not stackable. Stackable, not stackable. So in money situation or money wise, it makes sense to buy 5-gallon buckets, food grade, food and liquid safe. These buckets only ran me like $2.78 or something like that for the bucket itself, and like $1.99 or $2.03 or something like that for the lids. So it was under $5 per bucket. What makes more sense? True, the blue one holds 1 gallon more, but if you think about it, for the price of the single blue one on clearance, on sale, it was $15, 14 and a half, 15 bucks. I believe it's $14.79. So we're just gonna say 15. And these are usually like 22, 24 bucks for one of these, the blue ones. So for the price of that one container that holds 6 gallons of water, you can buy 3 of these. Also, we're fixing to go into, of course, going to the bathroom. Now, you do not need a food grade 5-gallon bucket for going to the bathroom. You don't have to have it. What you need is either kitty litter to cover it up or trash bags to put in your 5-gallon bucket. And you're going, okay, how am I going to sit on this bucket without falling in? Do I have to buy something special for that? Absolutely not. You go in your bathroom and you take the toilet seat off your toilet and you just stick it on top of the 5-gallon bucket. If you have to, you know, figure out a way to bolt it down or whatever you need to do to get that toilet seat to stay, or just balance yourself. Put it in a corner so the toilet seat catches the corners of the room. That way it'll stay in place. You do not need to go spend 20, 25 bucks on a toilet seat for a 5-gallon bucket. All you need is the 5-gallon bucket, some trash bags, if that's what you plan on using, which I advise to put a trash bag in it regardless to keep your bucket clean. So you put a trash bag in the bucket, mount your toilet seat off your toilet, just set it on top of the bucket, and the bag's inside. Once you go to the bathroom, either pour some cat litter or something inside it to cover it up, or you just tie up the bag and put another one in. Of course, that is really wasteful, so I advise you using kitty litter or something like that to cover it up to keep the smell away. Your bathroom situation is now solved, and for fairly cheap, because for that you actually don't need the lid unless you want to keep the lid on it. You know, just take the toilet seat off, set it to the side, and then put the lid on the bucket. You know, you could do that if you prefer. So we've talked about water. Also, let's go a little bit farther with this. Water. Anytime you drink a soda, clean out your 2-liter or 3-liter bottle and fill it up with clean water. Once that bottle is clean, put a little bit of bleach in there. Make sure you take the little, on the lids, you take the lid off, there's a little plasticky rubber piece in there. You take it out, you clean everything really good, and you put the little plasticky piece back once it's dry. You don't want any sugar or anything that's up underneath that little plastic ring on the inside, because that can grow bacteria. So you need to make sure those are really cleaned extremely well. Now, if you see behind me, we're fixing to jump into cooking real quick. Now, if you're worried about your power going out and you have electric stoves and everything you have is electric, you have a few options out there. You can buy a little wood stove, little camp wood stove. I have shown it in one of my videos for, I believe it's $14. Alright, but unless you have wood, it's worthless. You can buy a propane stove to cook with. You have to have propane for that. So think about this when you buy whatever it is that you're buying for storing. I do have, of course, in my camper And even in my van, I have a propane stove with oven. So I have, I can cook using that method. In fact, I could even bring one of those stoves in here and set it on our stove in our apartment and just hook a propane line to it if that's what I wanted to do. I prefer to keep the propane outside, but in a situation, that's what I would probably do. Or I would just use my little camp stove here. This is a butane stove, right there. I've shown it before, but I will show it to you again because the cost of these are so low. If you're worried about power going out and you need a way to cook, you have to have a way to cook. I will talk about another thing you can do after I show this. Now this is a Coleman single burner butane stove. Takes the small butane cylinders to go right here. Each one of those cylinders will last you about an hour. Let's see if I can get this closed with me holding it up like this. And of course it's hard to close with one hand. Alright. Suppose you don't have the money for something like this, which I understand right now is a bad situation for a lot of people, including us. And you're going, how can it be bad for you? We've seen the stuff you have. I have a camper trailer I need to fix. I need to replace part of the floor, fix the ceiling, fix the roof. All of the propane lines in it are cut, literally. So I have a lot to do on that, and it takes money. I have a van I can't even use during the winter because it has summer tires on it with holes in the floor that I just have plywood over. You know, but it does run, and unfortunately the fan that works on the heater and the air conditioner went completely out, so I can't even thaw the windshield if the windshield thaws up. So yeah, we may have a lot of stuff, but most of the stuff we have is petty stuff, a lot of junk that I have to fix up and actually fix. You're in a situation, let's say you're in a situation where the lights go out and you were smart enough to put some water back and you have no way to cook. Hopefully you are in your own place. If you're not, this may be a little bit of a burden and they may jump on you for this, like in an apartment complex in the middle of a city, but you do what you have to do. You go outside, you dig a hole, you know, about a foot around and a foot and a half deep, and on the side of that hole you dig a smaller hole. You just take a small piece of pipe or something, hammer it through, so your hole's this way, you hammer that pipe down so air can come through, and you put whatever wood you can find in that hole to burn. Alright, that tunnel on the side, right here, here's your hole, here's your side tunnel, will help suck air down and keep your fire going. And you're going, okay, what good is it for me to have a fire in a hole in the ground? If I set a pot on top of it, it's either going to fall in, it's going to kill it, kill the fire, whatever. What good is it? Well, almost everyone out there has a stove inside. These stoves have racks. You can take that rack and you don't even have to elevate it. All you have to do is set that rack flat on the ground over that hole, and you can cook that way. That's if you have no other option. You could use a barbecue pit. In fact, you could use the rack out of a barbecue pit to do the same thing. There are cheap or free options for you. Alright, you can buy something, you can burn wood. And the thing is, if it came down to a situation, my bed has a wood frame for the head and footboard, if it came down to it, my headboard and footboard would be demolished if I had to use that wood to cook with. I have no issues destroying furniture in our apartment that we own to survive. Almost everyone out there has something made of wood, whether it's particle board or some type of hardwood. The little shelf thing my laptop is sitting on is made of particle board. It's burnable. My girlfriend's computer sitting on a desk, the whole top is particle board. It's burnable. The headboard and footboard of my bed are wood. It's not particle board, it is solid wood. So it is burnable. You can use paper, you can use whatever you need to do to cook. So you don't really need something like this if you have something to burn. Now if you don't have anything to burn, you're worried about it, get one of these little camp stoves. They're extremely cheap, they're under $25. You can generally find some on eBay for 15, 20 bucks. They take the butane cans. Each one of those cans lasts an hour or so cooking. It doesn't generally take somebody an hour to cook, especially if they're cooking quick meals. I mean, I can cook something for me and my girlfriend, and the longest amount of time would probably be 20 minutes. So that is 3 meals I could cook off of one of those little bitty canisters, and they're fairly cheap. Now let's get into food. I've already discussed this subject, but I want to show you a few other things and give you a couple ideas of what you can do in a situation. First, of course, remember the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Try to have some put back. Now this is something I generally keep in my freezer. If you're worried about your lights and stuff going out, you can store this not in a freezer, but I suggest you freeze it for a few days first. Make sure any bugs in there would be dead. And that's rice. If you don't have a way to cook raw beans, or want to spend the energy cooking raw beans, because it takes forever to cook raw beans, just beans in a can. We've had these a little while over there, and these don't expire until 2022. Now remember, you're preparing for a 30-day, maybe a 60-day lockdown. Hopefully it doesn't go beyond 60 days. If it does, I think this country's in serious trouble, and most people, in fact a lot of people in this country, will starve to death. Here's something that we make quite often, unfortunately. Now you can use these 2 items for other things. Chili and cheese sauce. You go, what do you make this for? We pour it over chips. It makes a complete meal. You can also pour the chili cheese sauce over things like tater tots or even rice. That'll give you a meal. Beef stew. Now remember, this is, I have no clue when this expires. Best by 2023. Once again, you can use crackers and things like that with beef stew. Now, unfortunately, we do not have something I would like to have, because my girlfriend really doesn't like pancakes. She does eat waffles, and we don't have a waffle maker, so we just buy waffles. But buy some pancake mix, bottle of syrup. Buy the mix that only takes water. You don't have to add eggs to it or anything else. You just want something that takes water and some syrup. of course, coffee of some type. Now, in my situation, we have a percolator that I can use on my propane, my butane, my electric stove. If I had to, I could actually run a regular coffee pot off my solar. But this is for people that don't have everything I have. Alright, so some type of coffee. If you drink coffee, instant really stinks, but it's better than nothing. Mashed potatoes in the pouches. All these take is water. That's all you have to add is water to these. And it will help you stretch a meal or stretch something else. Now, I have talked about Dax ham before, but unfortunately, I forgot how nasty Dax actually really was. In an emergency situation, will we eat it? If we're starving, possibly, but that stuff is just so nasty. So we have tried this. It is actually much better than Dax. And this has a shelf life to 2025. I don't know if you can see that. Sell by 2025, in fact. So this is more like a bunch of pressed parts together. It's kind of flaky. It doesn't stay together very well. But if you put this with like macaroni and cheese or something like that, or make the mashed potatoes on the side, it will give you a meal. And it's not the best stuff in the world. It's not. But to be honest, it's better than Dax. I've talked about stuff like this before. Spaghetti, you can put anything from, which we are planning on getting some chicken bouillon cubes. You make your spaghetti noodles, you throw you some bouillon cubes in the hot water of the spaghetti, you don't drain it, you know, or drain it a little bit, melt the bouillon cubes down, and you have some type of noodles. Or you can make spaghetti if you have spaghetti in the can, which I believe we have some over there. Non-fat powdered milk, dry milk. Now the thing about powdered milk is it doesn't have the best expiration date, but in fact we just bought this 6 months ago and it's already expired. Of course it'll stay good for another year, so you know, it's never been opened. And these are the best if used by dates, which makes no sense. I like to say we only bought it 5-6 months ago, so you know it will work for you, especially in only a 30 or 60 day lockdown if you need milk or a milk product. Some type of snack. Now we do buy these mainly for my girlfriend to take to work. There are individual packs, small packs. Something like this is good if you have small children. Now right here is the hard one. If you buy these for storage or cooking, if you're worried about your power or water going out, then if your power does go out or water goes out, you may have water stored and backed up, but it takes butter and milk. So you know, can you substitute that? Yes. Does it taste the best? No. So be careful when you're buying things. If you can find something with the pouch that has the cheese sauce that doesn't need a mix, that's the way to go. Different type of crackers. You can have these with chili, with beef stew, or by themselves, as a snack, whatever. Now I've shown these before, Get a few of these, put them back. They'll store for a good long time. And this is what we buy as far as mostly macaroni and cheese. The reason we buy this, I know it's extremely expensive. It's like $7 or $6, something like that, or $5, whatever, for 3 boxes. But the cheese in this is already like a cheese sauce. You don't have to add anything else. For a 30-day lockdown, go with what you can afford and just work around whatever problems you come across. Canned meats are a good way to store things. If you're worried about a 30-day lockdown, then get some. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Now I have a Walmart bag here. I've talked about this item in this product before. Now, these do call for butter, but it is optional. You don't have to have butter in here. So, if you don't have any butter and you want to make these, and you have a little bit of vegetable oil, just put a little bit of vegetable oil in there and mix it up, and it'll help a great deal. But these are extremely cheap, and I'll tell you why we have so many of these, because we have a whole bag of these. We make generally 2 packs of these and 1 can of the chicken. Let me get it around. 2 packs and 1 can will feed 2 people. It feeds me and my girlfriend. Or some type of ham or some type of meat in another one. It doesn't matter what type you like. You can eat these by themselves, or you can eat them as sides, or you can eat them with something else to actually make your food go farther. Alright, this is just some of the things I've not talked about or shown. Vegetables, canned fruits. I did that in my last video. Some of this stuff you've already seen before, but I wanted to give you an update on what you should prepare for a 30-day lockdown, especially when it comes to water. A bunch of 5-gallon buckets that are food and water safe, or food and fluid safe, is the way to go, because one, they're stackable and they each hold 5 gallons of water. They're easy to clean, they're easy to get water out of. Unlike that, you have to tip it, you have a spout you put on it, you have to hold it up, and that is really heavy. With this, you can just take your pan or a clean cup and dip out as much water as you can or need, and you have access to water. And once again, you can use a 5-gallon bucket for a toilet if you have some type of trash bag to put in it, kitty litter to put over it, or even dirt. If you have to go out in your yard and dig up some dirt in your yard to put over your waste, that's what you do. Like I said, this is just an update. I wanted to give you a little bit more options of what you can purchase for this lockdown that they keep talking about. And this woman said you have 24 hours. I responded to her on my last video, but let's say you do have 24 hours. What are you going to do? What are you going to get? If you're worried about the lights and water going off, be prepared for it. The cheaper way to store water is actually a free way if you can get like 2-liter bottles and things like that. But they take up a lot of room. You can't stack on top of them, so they will take up room on the floor or on your shelves. Over here, the 5-gallon buckets are stackable. You can stack these up 6 high if you can get them on top of each other, if that's what you want to do. Now, I wouldn't do that. I would put them no more than 3 tall, because that's a pretty good height, and they do weigh quite a bit. But figure one stack of 5-gallon buckets is 15 gallons of water. That is according to what everybody says you need, which I don't know why. We don't drink a gallon of water a day. And with the restroom, probably, or maybe, probably. But they say a gallon a day, so 3 of those stacked tall would be 15 days for one person. Think about that. Now, you're not just using that. I would not use it for the bathroom, for flushing the toilet. That's what I'm saying. Get a 5-gallon bucket. That one does not have to be food grade or food safe because you're just using the bathroom in it. But for water, it makes more sense to get the 5-gallon buckets and just clean them out. I did get these at my local Walmart. And of course it says on top, bucket and lid sold separately. Of course it has. Now look for the number up here. Make sure it is like a 2 or something like that. And these lids fit really snug. But even if you only fill up your water to about there, so you're not touching the top lid, always clean these with a little bit of bleach water, including the lids, before you store water in them. And once again, that is a lot cheaper than this over here. I've already gone through some things. You have to use your best judgment on what's good for you and your family. If you like, I don't know, potted meat or Vienna sausage or beanie weenies or, you know, whatever, that's what you get. Make sure you and your family will eat it, because you don't want to buy something that's totally disgusting. That's why I no longer talk about Dax, even for long-term storage, because Dax ham is really gross. My girlfriend wanted to put a lot of stuff back, so I told her before we buy a whole bunch of stuff, we do have emergency kits. I have a couple under my bed. She has one under her bed with emergency food. We have pasta and things like that in there. So I said before we go buy a bunch of stuff that she sees on YouTube or people talk about, I want her to try it. She thought it was a good idea, and it was a great idea, because Dax ham, she tried it and she said never again. Never again. So our Walmart started carrying this. It's not nearly as bad as Dax. Now, it's not the best, but it's not as bad. That should say something. We do not have things like Spam. My girlfriend does not like Spam, so we don't buy things she will not eat. But again, we're talking about for a 30-day lockdown, possibly 60 days. Now, if you think this lockdown is going to go 60 days, can you imagine how much money it would take to get 60 days worth of water in those? Even if you were lucky enough to find them for $14, $15 each, that only holds 6 gallons of water. That may only hold 5 gallons, but it's a whole lot cheaper, and you can buy 3 of these basically for the price of one of those. So it's much better off buying the 5-gallon buckets. Plus you can use 5-gallon buckets for other things. Use it for storing, or you know, whatever you want to use it for. Use the bathroom. I mean, I like to see you try to go to the bathroom in that. I mean, it's not going to work. A 5-gallon bucket, you go pull your toilet seat off, set a bag in the bucket, set the toilet seat on the bucket, and there's your bathroom. Once again, I'm trying to give you cheap options. You don't have to buy anything we have. I've already gone through some of the other stuff in my other videos of my emergency supplies. I believe I have 2 or 3 videos on that. The last video where I talk about if you have 24 hours to get ready for a 30-day lockdown, if you're worried about the lights going out, do not go buy things like hamburger meat, sausages that have to be in the freezer, or anything they have to store in the freezer or fridge if you're worried about the lights going out in those 30 days. Now, if you're not worried about it, or if you have a generator or solar enough to power a system, my smaller solar setup will power my deep freeze and my little mini fridge for limited amounts of time. That's why I have timers for them. But you may not have that. Think about the storage you have. Think about what you can store and where. If you have a small fridge with a small freezer at the top, don't go buying a big ham and hot dogs and things like that if you're worried about this lockdown and you're worried about your lights going out. Go with stuff like this over here that I've shown you, that you can store on a shelf, that doesn't need refrigeration, and you're good to go, at least for the next 30 days. Like I said, I'm not showing vegetables or canned fruits. I showed them in my last video. And in fact, I believe the macaroni and cheese I showed in my last video. But that's one thing people don't think about, is when they go buy 10 boxes of macaroni and cheese. And I've actually seen this in a lot of prepper videos where they have went and bought 10, 20, 30 boxes of this, but they have no milk or butter to mix with it. And macaroni and cheese without butter or milk is extremely gross. I've had it. It's just gross. So if you're going to buy a bunch of these, you need to think about what else that really it needs. These you can or cannot add butter. It says, it says it calls for some butter, but you don't have to put butter in these. I've made these without butter. It doesn't really change the taste that much. It doesn't really change the rice that much. Now you can buy these in noodles as well, not just rice. But since we mix it with a can of chicken or ham or something like that, my girlfriend likes the rice a little bit better. Once again, you can buy pancake mix. You can buy, all kinds of stuff. If it takes eggs, avoid it. If it takes milk, think about that. Do I have powdered milk, dry milk, whatever? If it takes butter, will I have butter? Once again, think about your situation. I hope everybody gets through all this, but water is one thing you absolutely need. And for some reason, if the lights go out, see here where we're at, our little studio apartment, there are 3 apartments in this one house. And the entire front of the house is unfinished apartments, literally. The electricity's been ran and the plumbing's been ran for the sinks and the toilets, but there's no walls, no nothing. There's like 2 apartments in the front that are just unfinished. There's not even a ceiling up. So, this whole place is ran off a single water pump, literally in the basement. It goes to a water well. So if our power goes off here, our water is out, because it's running off a water pump in the basement. If you're in the city, just because your power goes off doesn't mean your water's going out. But if you're worried about something like that happen, get you a couple of these buckets right there, the 5-gallon buckets. Food grade, food safe, liquid safe. They're cheap. They're like under $3 at Walmart. I don't know where else you can find them. You can find them, I'm sure. Put water in them. Store your water. If you're worried about it, put a little bit of bleach in the 5-gallon bucket or a purification tablet. and you're good to go. I apologize for the length of the video here. This is an update on my last video, and like I said, yes, I am trying to get away from YouTube. I don't like the way they've been squashing voices. I don't like their hypocrisy. I really don't. A perfect example. I have seen people do reactions to music, literally, and they have been get hit with a copyright notice. But then the next day, the exact same song gets 10 new videos where they're playing the entire song and they're not hit. I've seen this over and over again. YouTube, if a song is copyrighted, use your stinking algorithm to stop all of them. Because if it was copyrighted for one person, it should be copyrighted for everyone, except for the artist or the one that owns copyright. I hate their hypocrisy. But like I said, this is an update. If you are a woman and you're worried about a 30-day lockdown, this one is important for a lot of women. Make sure you have your hygiene products that you need that can last you 30 days, if not longer. Women know what I'm talking about. You know, if you don't like Kool-Aid, get tea. If you don't like tea, get Kool-Aid. You can store sodas for 30 days, unless you drink them. Think about what you need. Think about what your family needs. I'm fixing to go. Like I said, I am absolutely trying to get away from YouTube. I have already started uploading videos that I do not have on YouTube up to Daily Motion. Please feel free to go there and look and see my videos there. In fact, I have quite a bit of stuff on Daily Motion that is not on YouTube. In fact, I've had my Daily Motion account apparently like 3 years. I couldn't remember my password, and it took me forever to get everything redone where I could log in. Unfortunately, people on YouTube have more views. People on YouTube are getting rich, which that should never happen. But think about what you need. Having extra water is a good thing. You can even wash clothes in a 5-gallon bucket full of water, if that's what you need to do. Because eventually you're going to go through your clothes if the lights and water go out. Alright, I'm fixing to go. Once again, I am definitely trying to get off YouTube. But this is an update. I did this because I've had 2 subscribers since my last video on what to do. Basically, if you had 30 days to prepare, not 30 days, but if you had 24 hours to prepare for a 30-day lockdown, that I was responding to someone else's video. This is an update to my last video on that video. Use your best judgment. Think outside the box. Even if you don't eat spaghetti that often, or once every 6 months, once a year, that is something you can make. All you need is water, spaghetti, and spaghetti sauce in a can. And that'll make you a meal for you and your family. Alright, I'm fixing to go. And we'll see if I actually even upload anything else to YouTube. I guess that depends on the subscribers I have, whether they want me to or not. So if you want me to keep uploading stuff, let me know in the comments of this video, and I do actually read and respond to every comment I get. Alright, that's it, and everyone have a good day, and I hope this helps you out if it comes to being locked down. Alright.